boost your small business success. Thank you for watching What's Next with Money. You know, when it comes to small business, you got to think, what comes first, the small business or personal finance? This is a personal finance program, and is it the chicken or the egg? I didn't have a chicken, so I say it's the egg or the egg. And actually, these eggs are from the White House Easter egg rolls. One is from the Obama administration, one is from the Bush administration. So these are bipartisan eggs. We're very bipartisan here. So when you think about money and small business, kind of the old way to look at it is you go to a bank. And actually, banks used to give these banks out. They don't do that anymore. But to build a small business, now there are many new opportunities. The gig economy, the creator space, even the sharing economy. But you have to have a focus on key elements of personal finance. If you do that, can that help build and secure the foundation for an entrepreneurial success and fulfillment? I think it can. This video talks about the way these can work together to create synergy. It's your small business dream, and why not? Why not at the same time lay out the opportunity for personal financial well-being and growth, wealth creation, and risk protection as you start up and grow your enterprise? Welcome to What's Next with Money. Let's get started. We're talking about boosting your small business success. We can break down the personal finance side as we look at this structure in three ways and see the supports and parallels to building, growing, and sustaining your small business. Here's area number one, human capital. Human capital, this is your knowledge base, your skill set. It's what you bring to the marketplace in employment or talents and skills for your business, service, or creative enterprise. It's your unique ability, as author Dan Sullivan calls it, for entrepreneurs. It's also your ethic in terms of personal integrity, reliability, taking responsibility for your actions, your way of performing, executing your work, and the way you earn money and conduct your business operations. It's the area of securing business licenses and certifications to allow you to operate and practice in the marketplace in compliance and with credibility. It's fair dealing and honesty, working well with others, your boss, coworkers, suppliers, competitors, vendors, clients, customers, and with a small business, perhaps eventually your employees. It's where you develop your reputation. And we're going to talk a little more about reputation in the second area, which is social capital. Of course, if working for others is where you apply your human capital to create income and its exchange for your talent and time. But income is cash flow. It is the lifeblood of a household in personal finance and a business. Having an income that you create or a spouse creates with you can help you live and do the things necessary long before you take any money out of a new business in order to pay rent, mortgage, utilities, and transportation, and certainly before you try to borrow from a bank. Human capital and the income derived from it can carry you through your entrepreneurial vision and dream. It's also the place where you can receive employee benefits like health insurance, childcare support, continuing education, professional development, tuition assistance, group life and disability insurance, retirement savings, and matches. So make the most, if you're still working or a spouse is working, to tap into those employee benefits with the intention of gap filling and helping you succeed at your business and to keep your human capital relevant. You know, as I have interacted over the years with great professional certified financial planners all over the country, I know so many, they used to joke, they would ask the question, what is a successful financial planner? And the answer would be a spouse with a job. Really, the job benefits have provided a sense of safety and growth and allowed the new financial planning professional to build their practice and really get their startup going. Now, this might be said of so many other small business dreams, but in today's world, starting small, online and through well-established platforms, many folks can and should start part-time on evenings and weekends while keeping that main job, or that main job may devolve or evolve to becoming a part-time job. As a full-time employee, I was able to stash away savings for real estate and equity investing and other small business pursuits. I rented for a long time before I ever owned a home. So the income from my work helped cover living expenses, but I kept my personal overhead and living costs very, very low. And I could focus on future entrepreneurial dreams and saving seed capital that I would use later. I use my employment and regular paychecks for that purpose. I really assigned a purpose to that. And I could do that without interest. My job was my bank. Human capital is also the world of training, skills development, or acquisition, vocational apprenticeships, online courses, YouTube programs, mentoring, but also being a mentee. And you guessed it, it's also the area of student loans and college savings. So here is a viewer question that we got from a gentleman named Roland. And he says, Brent, I don't know what business I might want to do, or if I'm even cut out to be an entrepreneur. So Roland, just list things you might want to do as supplemental income. So just let your imagination run. Think about a gig activity you might do, or a side hustle, even owning a goal of rental property someday, which really can be a different asset class from the regular portfolio you might have. Also, think about what you might want to do as a hobby. What do others value that you have a talent for, that you could do part-time, or even way down the road as an activity to do in retirement for income and for an activity to be doing something. Another place to start, and I think people really overlook this. Let's say you're employed full-time or even have a couple part-time jobs. If you're working in areas that you think you might want to stay involved in, that really speaks to your soul, that you really like, look for independent-minded pioneers. Now, these may not be people that work in your current job, but they may have previously worked there. And they're kind of like legends in your industry, but they went outside your 9-to-5 environment and they formed their own enterprises that actually supply and innovate in your industry or field. And you can create also a dream board mock-up thinking about what they have done and their way they apply their business ideas to the field you're in. Think about creating a dream board of your goals with real visuals. This is one that I created a few years ago, and I'm amazed when I go back and reference these core areas, and I'm going to list a few of them for you, how many of them have actually become true. So here's some of the categories I've had in mind. Business and entrepreneurial was one. That's where I listed those ideas of things I wanted to do in the marketplace. The next was social. Who did I want to hang out with? What kind of community involvement? Education and professional development. What did I want to do for income, either through my main job or some side hustle? Financial planning and investing. Creative works and activities. Physical, to keep myself healthy. Family. Faith, which included charitable purposes, social activism, and involvement. You can send us a question like Roland did here at What's Next with Money. Go to our website, what'snextwithmoney.com, or the link in the YouTube comment section below. We're talking about boosting your small business success. And here's area number 2 of the 3 areas that we've constructed. And this is social capital, a very contemporary area. This is your place both digitally and geographically. Likely, it's your network and circles of influence, those you influence and the ones who influence you. Today, many people's net worth is related to the extent of their net worth related to your net work. So here lives your reputation, both interpersonally and online. Many great MBA programs and chambers of commerce have small business training programs or small business entrepreneur cohorts built in, and they require and promote ethics training in those. So for personal finance, your reliability and reputation is on the line. A bad personal finance reputation spreads around, not just through credit records and credit reports, but not paying bills on time, treating suppliers and vendors poorly. People get to learn that kind of behavior. It's also your tax status, which most people don't know about, and your compliance with the IRS. But it's not just federal, it's state tax. And in some municipalities, there's even a local tax. There are also people who skirt and take shortcuts with their financial reputation, taxes, and credit. And that part of that negative reputation can go public. And now it can go public instantly online, and it takes a lot of time and energy to clean that up. The business reputation taking the first public hit with the apparent closing of a business, the seizure of assets by banks, these guys, repossession of goods, cars, even gun collections, and then later, although not really public, the negative personal financial consequences followed. And it kind of had a lag time, but it lasted many, many years for the loved ones left behind. We already know about our credit record and credit score, but your reliability is scored through reviews, comments, and other means, and just by your reputation. And in this area of social capital, we control and use digital domain names, URLs, branding, licensed imagery that we may own or lease or otherwise have the right to use, our LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter accounts, and other social media platforms. If applicable, social capital includes trademarks, logos, copyrights. I know these can be business assets, but they're part of your brand. It's part of how people perceive you and other intellectual property. But it's also the place of interacting in the marketplace through marketing, sales, promotion, sampling, testing, lead magnets, cultivating early clients, testimonials, reviews, meeting subscriber thresholds, keeping records of prospects and clients and others for future growth. In social capital, it's also the place you can join professional and trade organizations, interact with peers, those who are doing now what you aspire and dream about doing, asking questions, interviewing them, hearing their stories. What do they do right? What would they do differently if they could do it over again? And what are the new opportunities they see for enhancement in small business development? And if you want to stay as a salaried person, even for enhanced employment in a key field. Another big area they can help you with is the sequencing and the order of decisions and the different types of risks they took on and how they did that in a slow and steady way. We're talking about boosting your small business success, and here we're now to our third and final area number 3, called financial capital. And much of what I'll state here is a direct overlap between personal finance and small business, but there are some points of separation. So the first area in financial capital is measurement, metrics, benchmarks, and data. And some of the key areas that needs to be compiled is a net worth statement, income statements, accounting, and budgets. Having a personal financial plan and a business plan, both are essential, especially that business plan if you're trying to work through an idea and go through many drafts. When I created this new YouTube channel, our business plan evolved to over 36 pages, but it changed over the months that we started to plan what's next with money. And it contains the nuggets of information from interviews, seminars, conferences, YouTube videos that we checked out before we launched this. So even the business plan can start as a description of an idea. And you can then, from that, interview and explore by writing it down, taking a course, a workshop. But interviewing is so important. Asking other people who are in that field. Understand what your business and entrepreneurial vision is. It's not the pursuit of money. It's the pursuit of a dream, of a service, of a creative enterprise you want to create. Ask yourself this: what do people need in good times and in bad? This could be an interesting metric to base your idea off of and give you focus and persistence. Also, in this financial capital area, you'll need separate accounts for your personal finance and your business work and your financial institutional relationships. In financial capital, you want to have those accounts separated. It's very important for record keeping, your future growth prospects, loan possibilities from a bank, as well as tax compliance. Think about having a brokerage account. Now, you probably already have something like that for retirement savings, and that's great. But I'm talking about a taxable brokerage account. That is, the assets are not tax deferred. This can be a parking place in an incubator or a nursery for money that you can use as seed capital later and invest it accordingly. So really, that's kind of in the personal finance area, but later that capital could transfer to the business venture or enterprise. And here I'm talking about investments in pretty safe areas, money market funds, CDs for capital preservation, sort of a short-term parking place for your money. But also in that brokerage account, you can have assets more at risk for longer-term growth potential if you don't need that money for many years in the future. If you're planning really a delayed entry into small business years later, that could be a down payment for rental property, or an office building that you might need for later for a business that you might create. Another category is financial and legal advisors. Let me list a few of these. In the tax area, a tax advisor, an accountant, or a tax preparer. Having a certified financial planner professional who also could provide a lot of tax advice as well. An attorney. A business advisor, it's really a specialty, maybe a business coach might be good, or just somebody that can mentor you in the area you want to pursue. A new category is tools and equipment. And this sounds real basic, but a lot of it you can get at low cost or use, but you might need a car or a truck, computer, or cell phone. These are all tools that you probably already own that you can use in this enterprise. Software, security software, ways to back up data, creators gear for YouTube or podcasting, and even safety gear for when you start out. You want to manage the physical risk of what you're about to do, because you may involve other people or vendors, and you want to be safe on the job as you create it. Next is the structure of the business. Here we're talking a bit about legalities. Sole proprietorship, a one-person business. You would fill out this on Schedule C in your taxes. You could create a partnership with somebody, and it could be with your spouse. Another really key area I've used a lot is an LLC, a limited liability company. And that can be a partnership embedded in that LLC as well as being a single person. Perhaps you're ready to move up to a corporation status. And think about how each of these business structures have unique tax compliance challenges and opportunities. You have federal returns to fill out, state returns, or as part of your personal returns. And some of these business returns or partnerships or even LLC corporate filings have earlier tax deadlines than your personal taxes. You also want to think about your business name, and are you doing business as blank? File that with your state's Secretary of State's office so you can control that name. And don't forget the place of doing business, the physicality of it. Is it in your home? Is it in a rental property? And certainly, is it online? Think about the rules surrounding that might be zoning, HOA rules, permits, or licensing. You might have a truck or a place to keep supplies. That may not be permitted in certain neighborhoods. Again, we're talking about now really the overlap of personal finance and business planning. And this gets into the area of income, cash flow, credit worthiness, your credit records, your credit scores, the separate accounts that we've talked about. Tax management and compliance, and here's a whole list of taxes. Income taxes, estimated taxes, if you're bringing in money outside of a place of employment and you're not having withholding done, you have to pay those estimated taxes in quarterly filings. Self-employment taxes. Now, what are those? That's if you're running a business, this is your Social Security and Medicare tax, really primarily for individuals who work for themselves. There's also sales and use tax. Capital gains taxes if you sell property or investments. If you have a rental property, for example, and you've had it a while and you sell it, there's the recapture of depreciation expenses, and that's a form of taxation. And for specialized products, there's even excise taxes. And if you have employees, everything we've kind of talked about before is working for yourself, but some of those applies to any kind of enterprise. But if you've got employees, you're facing a whole nother set of compliance. Social Security, taxation, workers' comp, unemployment taxes, OSHA regulations, immigration law, wage and hour laws, family, medical leave, and a lot of these laws vary by state. They're not just federal. Americans with Disability Act, and the way retirement accounts are managed is something called ERISA. These are like retirement account laws. You want to have investments outside of your retirement savings and investing, and these, as we've said before, can be in taxable accounts, saving up to growing your financial capital. Insurance and risk management, another huge area. Life insurance, and this could be you need insurance on yourself if you're part of a partnership as a key person insurance. So if something happens to me, money needs to be paid to the buyout interest of a partner or somebody else. Disability insurance, umbrella liability, a business insurance. This could be business interruption insurance, insurance on inventory, as well as liability. Always think about health insurance. And for property insurance, it's renters, homeowners, commercial insurance, flood insurance in special cases, special riders, and of course, auto insurance. For retirement, small business creates so many different opportunities beyond the traditional 401k, employer-based retirement savings programs. You can always open up an IRA, a Roth, or a contributory. But if you're self-employed, you have really greater opportunity for retirement savings. You could set up a self-employed 401k, and that could be a Roth or a regular 401k, but it's a single member 401k, but it also could be for a partnership. So you and your spouse could both tap into that. And you can save a lot more in a 401k than an IRA. And then for even bigger retirement savings, a SEP IRA, SEP IRA, a simplified employee pension. And it's a way for employees to set up and contribute more for their own retirement savings. Really a great idea. Also, there's something called a simple IRA. A CFP professional can help you sort through so many of these choices and opportunities. Another big area is estate planning. It ties into personal finance and business finance. Your wills, trusts, how beneficiaries are listed on retirement accounts and insurance forms. Some bank accounts, back to our friends at the bank, you could add a TOD, a transfer on death indication. So it doesn't have to go to probate. The account moves to the person you've said, or the institution gets it on transfer on death. And we talked earlier about key person insurance for partnerships. Now, finally, what's your end game? What is the business purpose that we're talking about? Is your business saleable? How is revenue received now and in the future? How do new changes in technology or the marketplace impact that? What about differences in changes in regulatory oversight? But what is the goal, the operating game plan of your business, the chances for expansion? Would you bring in other partners? Can you franchise what you're doing? Are there things you can license? Can you receive the payments of royalties? If you even sell the business, can you still keep those payments coming in? Are there licensing fees that you could collect? What about a sale or merger or a buyout of a business practice? What's the end game for your business? How do you get out of it? Do you want your children involved as they get older? Now, you may not want that professionally as they are older, but as they're younger, getting them involved in an entrepreneurial experience is invaluable. For example, from age 11 to about 17, I worked at my grandfather's bar. He had an 8th grade education, but I learned so much from his business enterprise, and he worked in that until his 90s. So what's your exit plan? And for what business or personal finance purpose? This gets down to life questions. The goals of the business. Is it to receive a full-time income that might replace your current job income, or perhaps a part-time supplemental income? What about retirement income? Certainly growing your net worth and ownership could be a big part of this, to build family, money, multi-generational wealth, an inheritance for your children and grandchildren, and your business involvement as a legacy with your family to create perhaps a family enterprise. And then there's the big area, which is perhaps a purposeful, intentional destination for a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's a charitable purpose. So you receive income as the business grows and prospers, but you have in your mind down the road the ownership, the corpus, the assets that are being created, the value of the business. It may have a charitable destination or intent. And that's a wonderful goal. And there are many tax advantages for doing that, and certified financial planner professionals can help you think through those. So we've been talking about boosting your small business success. And it's important to have not just an understanding of financial institutions, but the 3 categories we talked about: human capital, social capital, financial capital. Using the best practices as you blend personal finances and business finances together. This is going to give you an entrepreneurial and wealth edge on your competition, but also for your dreams and your family's goals. Even if you don't start a business or may do it many, many years in the future, having this rubric, this new way of thinking, can enhance just your personal finance well-being. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, and remember, new episodes of What's Next with Money, always looking out for your nest eggs, are posted on Thursdays.